Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and joining me today is going to be Jalen here. He'll be popping up pretty soon here on the live feed here. The Fishbowl Radio is now live streaming from Fishbowl Studios here. So, look, we got a lot to talk about, guys. I'm just going to wait till Jalen actually pops on here and sees here. He should be seeing the feed pretty soon here. We're just trying to see what's going on with everything here. So we're gonna do this full podcast here. We're gonna do a little bit different here. So that's just kind of something we're kind of looking at here. Let me see. Jalen just popped into the live stream, and we're gonna accept it. Yes. Couldn't add guests. One because of technical issue. This is kind of interesting how Facebook's not really allowing. I got him last time. Yeah, the broadcast. Well, why is it not letting me let Jalen join? Okay, let's look. I'll invite him. On video or with audio only. So it should be set here. Okay, let's see. We might get him right here. I think we're going to get him. I have very, very good faith in this, hopefully. Oh, look.
There
There
we
it
go.
is.
There we go.
There it is. We figured
There,
out the
there we
video.
go. We got it. We got it going, Chief. We got it going.
Yeah, that's good. So, LSU just pulled off a big upset against Kentucky. We're going to talk about that later on in this little podcast here. So, um, without further ado, let's talk about this, Jalen. This is something that we need to talk about here. So, the Cajuns baseball team. You were there on Friday. Was it? Yeah, it was Friday night.
Yes, I was. Yes,
For
I was.
the um, any takeaways from that opening series against Wright State? Wright State did play in a regional. Cajun played in a regional two last year. So, what was some things you saw during opening weekend that you think that the Cajuns can use to catapult themselves going further into their season, as well as playing Rice on Friday in this opening weekend?
I think it starts well. Very good defensively. I think the Cajuns played a great first game against Rice State when they were down a couple runs, and then they ended up getting a game winner, winning that game. And then I didn't wasn't able to actually go to the second game where they upset where Wright State actually beat them. But when it came to the last game, I was like, okay, the Cajuns are going on this run to where it's going to set them up great for when they go against Rice Chief. I think the game is Wright State, who were the Horizon League champions, I might add, and like you said, made it to the NCAA tournament last year. They had great Wright State had great pitching. The Cajuns were able to hit the ball. Trey LaFleur looks like he's going to be one of their best hitters on the year. Kyle Debo DeBarge is still he could win easily win Sun Belt Player of the Year. He's one of their best players. Also, I just think the Cajuns overall they get to play comeback kids for against those in those couple of games against Wright State, but at the same time, a win is a win, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a win is a win, right? Series wins really matter more into the postseason as you get down into it. If you win 2 out of 3 games for most of your season, you're basically going to be sitting out there with a pretty good record there. So now let's look at, the hits and stuff over the weekend. So Wright State, their first game, they had 2 runs on 4 hits and 1 error. Cajuns had 3 runs on 5 hits and 1 error. Then game two in that series, Wright State went with 7 runs and 11 hits and 2 errors. Louisiana, 6 runs, 8 hits, and 3 errors in that one. So not really playing very well that second game for sure, which, the errors led, didn't put the Cajuns in really good positions to win the game at that point. So Louisiana in the third game, 5 runs, 11 hits, and 1 error. Wright State, 3 runs, 6 hits, and 0 errors. So Wright State played pretty well during this regional here. They only tallied up really 3 errors between 3 games. Cajuns were a little they were more of a sloppy team. I've seen some ways where the wind was blowing. The wind was really blowing this past weekend. So that's gonna definitely affect your trajectory of the ball and stuff, maybe keep it in the ballpark or like move it, depending on where the wind's coming out of, whether it's coming out of the north, south, east, or west. It's gonna play into either an advantage for you or it's gonna be a real hindrance to what you can do whenever you're like if you're a power team, you're gonna struggle if the wind's blowing inward through center field and stuff. But if it's blowing out, you have a lot more chances to hit more home runs than really extend leads in ball games. But as far as like RPI goes, I'm not really too keen on looking at RPI too much, but I do think it's important to kind of keep track of how this thing actually works. So right now, live RPI update 149. They're down five since February 18th. So McNeese hasn't won a game, so I'm kind of want that
Easy,
you kind of want
easy. It was an
to.
easy win for the Cajuns, I think.
Yeah, the bats really came to play that game, and that was a good win for them. Now they're playing Rice. Rice is 1-3. Rice lost the series to Notre Dame this past weekend. They got swept, and then they ended up beating Sam Houston. So, which I think was kind of interesting if you look at Sam Houston State, because the Cajuns, their head ball coach Matt Deggs was the head coach of Sam Houston, so that's kind of a little interesting how that schedule played out there, but. I think the Cajuns. I like this pitching staff. I think they'll do good things here. It's early in the season. I'm not going to panic. It's sometimes it can be a little sloppy at the beginning of the year, but you will get better as the season goes along. And they call you just keep practicing. If you keep working it, you're going to get down in there. When you get down to April, May, and June, that's when all that time that you spend in those in-game situations, those clutch situations, that's when the bats start coming alive later in the year. That's when hitting becomes more prevalent, if you notice, in college baseball because of the heat. It's a physics thing. I remember talking to Matt Dex about it before, and it was a real interesting conversation that was had in that room. So, like he was like, yeah, like the air pressure, the air, and I'm thinking in my head like that actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does.
Um, like the balls go out further because the air is hot, like hot air rises and cold air sinks. The air is colder in February and like early part of March here in Louisiana. So I mean, you look at it that way. I never really thought of it that way, and just listening to people talk and that kind of thing. And I was like, he's got a really good point. That's a really nice, valid point to actually make. So, and that's something I thought that I never would have thought of, and that was pretty cool to see here. Now, the midweek games, you're not going to put your best guys out there, but the Cajuns jumped on McNeese yesterday, and they were able to have 8 runs in the first inning, and the game was over after the first inning, basically. McNeese got 2 runs in the fourth. Cajuns ended up put 3 more runs in the eighth, so 11 runs on 14 hits, but they still are making errors occasionally. They have 2 errors in this game. So if they could tighten up defensively and sewn up and get rid of a couple of them errors there, they could be a really good ball club. But like I said, it's early. I'm not hitting the panic button on the Cajuns baseball team because they've only played 4 games. They're going to get better on defensively, I believe. So
I think each game, I would say, watching it in person against Rice State, I think they improved defensively in each game. I know they lost game two, but when it came to game three and the game they needed to win the series, I think they stepped up. They stepped up to the plate, literally.
yeah, they really did. So I mean, it's hard. They have the wins, right? It's hard to argue that they didn't have the wins there, but going with Rice and stuff here, they had three games with Rice here. They might actually sweep Rice. But hold off on it a little bit. I think maybe one of the errors might pop up and make them lose a critical part of the game, make them lose it. One of them. So I say 2 or 3. I think a series win for the Cajun against Rice is exactly what the doctor will order for this weekend. What you got, Jalen?
Yeah, I think the Cajuns are going to win two of three. I just think that if they, honestly, it might be the last game. I think they figure like Rice is not an inferior opponent, but at the same time, I mean, Rice is kind of struggling a little bit where the Cajuns are kind of up, and they Cajuns just really just beat a McNeese team and state team. I think they're going to take two of three, and probably maybe the last game to lose against Rice, and then they'll just have to go forward until they get ready for that the game against Northwestern State.
Yeah. Now on the other ball field, Louisiana Ragin Cajun softball. There was a little bit of like sadness there for sure because people were kind of wondering what's going on with the softball team because they're sitting right there at 500, and until yesterday, until they're winning 9-3 winning against Louisiana Tech, the runs were really hard to come by. Defense wasn't playing that great to start off the year, but like I've said, this is a very long season. We're just getting started. Let's kind of pump the brakes a little bit here. Now, granted, it is a cause for concern. If you look at this kind of thing, you're like, okay, we have all these different pitchers and we got some movement in somewhat of the transfer portal and stuff. But, you know, you uh, split the two games against Cal. You won one, you lost the other one. You lost two, and then in that run that you have between when they lost to Cal to Mississippi State and Baylor, you had you had only one win in a period of like 6 games, one win out of six, and then because I thought they would beat Baylor. I personally thought they would beat Baylor. I thought they might have split against Mississippi State, but they lost in 6 innings against them 1-9, 1-2 in the second game. So it was closer in the second game. So that was a doubleheader game. So doubleheaders always rough to play against, but you
Baylor
know,
came to play in that second game. I mean, they came out the first inning. They put up 3 runs. It was crazy. Cajuns had like one error that turned into 2 runs. It's like, I mean, Baylor, the Bears really stomped on them in game two. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat that. But game three was a little bit more competitive, but they just lost it in the end. But they played great game one.
yeah. So Cajuns almost like they got 2 runs in the sixth, but they wasn't able to do anything else in the seventh. But they had 3 errors in that game. If they can fix like this, is kind of reminds me of the baseball team somewhat because if you can eliminate those errors, like and they're playing tough competition. They're not playing no cupcake schedule. If this was
Oh,
a
absolutely.
cupcake schedule, and they were losing these games in a cupcake situation, I'd be a lot more worried about them. But this is definitely this is a good softball team. This is a good softball team. They're going to get it together. They're going to figure it out and win some games. Now, looking ahead here, we got Stanford, who's number 12 in the country. Texas is number 2. Then you got Colorado State, who's 7-3, and then Stanford again. Then you got Texas and the Lone Star State Invitational, which kicks off Friday. So looking at these next 5 games, it's going to be kind of a rough one here. I'm going to see what the predictor has for this because the Cajuns are probably going to lose. I was maybe earlier in the year I was looking more positive, but the predictor is kind of what I'm thinking what it's going to do. Lose to Stanford, lose to Texas. Colorado State, they got a win against them. Stanford got them losing and losing to Texas. So it's got them losing 4 of these 5 games in the Lone Star Invitational here. Right now, it's got overall predicted record 35-22, which is a little bit below Quadrant One records 5-20. So you know, but this is why you play the tough schedule to get ready for postseason play, right? So if they can get out of here and if they can beat Stanford or Texas at least once or twice in this thing here, you're going to have a really good opportunity to prove that you belong in the top 25. Now, you've got like to host regionals. You got to win these top 25 matchups. This is why they're doing a schedule to try to host a regional. But you got to win the game you're supposed to win. And Gary Glasgow talked about that earlier this week that we have to win the games we're supposed to win. And, and I not taking away from Cal. I think the Cajuns could beat Cal on that Sunday game with all the drama and the so-called like kneeling down for the American flag and that kind of thing there. I know there was a controversy and that went viral for a bit last week or so, the last week or so, but I think that they could have beat Cal in that game. But it's just one of those deals, guys. Like it's just a slow start to the year, and I think they will rebound. I think this is a good softball team. We just got to give them time. You know, I said like softball is like baseball in a way because like when a team gets hot, a team can get hot, really make a good run and win a couple of games there and really set yourself up for the postseason. So Jalen, what you think about this upcoming run of games for the Cajuns here as they take on Stanford, Texas, and Colorado State?
I think the Cajuns can steal some wins. I mean, I don't agree with the predictors saying they're going to lose 4 of the next. I think it was 5. I don't see that happening. I do see them beating Colorado State. But these games against Stanford and Texas are meaningful games. Like you said, this is games that determine whether you're going to host a regional or not. And I think they will split with Texas. I think they'll split with Stanford. But if they come out there and win both games, I mean that's resume worthy right there. But I think they'll split them. I just think that Texas is just a really good team. Stanford's a really good team, but I'm not gonna sit up there and talk about the Cajuns are not a good team. They have the hitters, they have the veteran pieces. Sam Landry, she's back. They're heavy hitters. Jordan Campbell. You got Maya Davis, who's known for stealing bases. I mean, Alexa Langoliers hitting home runs. I mean, they have the pieces. They have the leadership. Jerry Glasgow is a great coach. I think they will split the series in these games, beat Colorado State, and then they'll go into their they're going to the game against Nichols, which is not this upcoming week, but they go into it feeling great. Be like, oh yeah, like we really just beat these good teams, and now we need to get back on track and get ready to get some more wins.
Yeah, I look like the Nichols game. It's going to be one of those. They're going to be like, okay, we have. You got what you got, right? So you're looking at it from like we have like, is this almost a do or die thing for a regional at this point here? Do you really? Is it really like that, right? Do you think that they have to win this game to win or get to like host a regional, like win two of them to host a regional, Jalen?
I don't think so. I think in Jerry Glasgow's head and for his softball team, anytime you put Oklahoma on the schedule, I think you mean business. And at the same time, you know what you're going to get out of these girls. You know what your team is made of. And we put teams like Oklahoma, Texas, and Stanford on the schedule. Not only are you proving to the committee that you want to host a regional, but you're showing that hey, we're playing this competition. Our schedule is tough, but guess what? These girls are going to go out here. They're going to hit this ball, and they're going to go out there and get these wins. And I think they can do it.
I mean, we'll have to wait and see here. So my prediction for this here, I think they're going to take one against Stanford. I feel like they're due for a top 25 win. Um, Along with like they have one, they beat Cal earlier. I think Cal was ranked. I'm like, well, no, Baylor, my bad. It's Baylor.
Yep,
So
game one.
yeah, getting one against Baylor. So that was their first top 25 win. I think they can win Stanford. I think they can win one of those games against Stanford and take them. Texas, I don't think they're gonna win either one of these games against Texas. Like, going the road against Texas, I think they'll win one against. I got them going 2 and 3 out of here in these next 5 games. What you think, Jalen?
And that's okay. I think they'll split with Stanford. I think they'll be able to steal a game against Texas, and they'll beat Colorado State. I mean, that's what three wins right there.
You got them going 3 and 2
I
this
think I
week.
think they'll go 3-2. I think the
Okay.
way if they play like the way they played, they came out the gate against Baylor and said, you know what, it doesn't matter. You're in our house, but guess what? We're going to go on the road to Austin in this invitational and beat a Stanford team and beat a Texas team. And I think if they beat both of them teams at least once, I think it's not going to guarantee them to host a regional, but it's setting that path up to be like, okay, if we play like this the rest of the year, we're going to host that regional and we're going to get past the supers and we're going to get to wherever they need to get to.
Yeah, OKC, bro. That's the ultimate goal every year for Cajun softball here. Then yeah, then right after that Nichols game, you got Miami, Ohio, Liberty. They should better take care of Liberty. I think they'll beat Miami, Ohio too. Even though Miami, Ohio is undefeated so far this year, Oklahoma is ranked number one in the country. I mean, there's not much to talk about with Oklahoma. They're a dynasty. They won the last 4 national titles in softball. So it's gonna be a tough one for them for sure. But
I,
it's
I think I can guarantee this, Chief. If they go out there to Oklahoma and beat Oklahoma, they need to host a regional. I'm telling you that right now, 100%. It doesn't matter how they do the rest of the year. If they beat Oklahoma, they need to host a regional.
that'd be crazy to think about.
I'm telling you.
I mean, hey, you gotta believe it, man. That's the way it works. That's the way it works. So looking at this upcoming let's talk about this for a second. Raging Cajun men's basketball here. So Cajuns are in their final 4 games here. They had a big opportunity to really make a statement here and really pull within one game of App State. App State and Troy were neck and neck here for the top spot in the Sun Belt. And now with them losing to App State, they still got Troy on the schedule here. You got UOM. They got to go on the road and play UOM, which I think they're going to beat UOM. I don't think it's going to be a close game. UOM's having a bad year. They're 8-15. So look, I mean, not really doing very well as UOM. So Southern Miss, they've had some injuries, but I think Cage is split against at least one of them against Southern Miss. So for the last four, oh man, it's like the Cajuns need to beat Southern Miss at least one time to guarantee themselves in that fourth seed. Because if they're in that fourth seed in the Sun Belt tournament, you ain't got to play that extra game. That's why it's so important to win. And like if they could go 3-1, that'd be perfect because they'll be set up perfectly in the tournament there. Now 2-2, you're kind of risking it a little bit there. But give me wins against UOM. I think they'll go on the road and beat Southern Miss. I think it's going to happen. Troy, in the next Wednesday, I think they'll lose to Troy. Southern Miss, I got them going 2-2. I just don't see them. Either they're going to beat them at home or they're going to beat them on the road. They're going to win somewhere. But what you got, Jalen?
So I think at ULM, the last time they came to the Cajun Dome, they were ended up fighting each other on the sidelines. I don't know if everybody saw what was going on with that, but I think they'll easily go down the road and beat ULM. And I agree with you. When it comes to Southern Miss, they're up and coming team. They have some injuries. They're trying to get into this top four seed themselves. So I think they will split with the Cajuns. The Cajuns, I think they go to Hattiesburg and possibly lose, but I think they'll beat Southern Miss at home. I mean, the Cajuns are a great team at home. I mean, on the season, they only lost a couple games at home. Their last two games in the regular season are against Troy and against Southern Miss, and I think they'll win both of those games. I know Troy is right there with App State, top team in the Sun Belt, but I think the Cajuns just play. They have a different tenacity when they're at home at the Cajun Dome, and I think they know that if they beat Troy, that's setting them up perfectly. Not only get that top four seed, but then eventually could beat Troy again in the Sun Belt Conference tournament to get back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances, and then Southern Miss that just be like, okay, we need to get this last win, and when they get to sit out and make it what top four seed doesn't have to play the extra game like you said, Chief, and they'll be sitting pretty right there in the Sun Belt Championship.
Yeah, I mean that's the way that's what you want, right? You want to have that that one last game is one last opportunity for you to lose. So that is something you're going to look out for as we go further into this season, right? So just looking at it there and just seeing how it's going to go, we'll see what happens here as we keep going down this game schedule, right? So it's just one of those that I the Cajuns have if they get hot. They've done it before. If they get hot in the Sun Belt Conference tournament, I think they got a real good chance of winning the thing. They got enough talent on that team to do it. Now it's just a matter of you got to beat the guys that are there in front of you and be able to take advantage of that opportunity when it presents it to you itself to you, and you got to be able to strike while the iron's hot. Now, granted, winning back to back, the hardest thing to do in sports is repeat. And I will say this over and over again. You've got to be able to, I guess calm down. That everybody's gunning for you because you're the champ, right? You're the Sun Belt tournament champion last year. And it was South Alabama that got hot last year. They really ran deep in that tournament there and they made it to the finals here. So it's not about like the Sun Belt only has one team make it every year in the NCAA tournament. So for them, they're gonna have to make a run, right? So if the Cajuns could be like Alabama last year, get a good run to the finals, and end up beating whoever that is in the finals, look out. That, that's a dangerous team to play at that point. So we'll see what happens. All right, let's switch gears here and talk about Louisiana Ragin Cajun women's basketball here real quick here. So look, as we finishing up their season two, they're coming off. They have a 3-game winning streak going on. It started since February 10th. The year wins against Central Michigan, Georgia Southern, and Arkansas State. Their last four, I got them winning against South Alabama. I think they'll sweep both those games there, and then at Texas State, and then Southern Miss. So I think what you got going on right here with Texas State and Southern Miss, I think they'll lose both those games. But the women's basketball team have struggled this year, but they're on a little bit of a run here. And looking at the way these conferences are set up here, let's look at this real quick here. Sun Belt standings. as we look ahead here in the women's bracket, Marshall definitely leading the way here, 14-1 in conference play. Cajuns are sitting smack dab at 8 here. So for them to get to fourth, they still got a mathematical shot to get there, but they're going to have to win some games here toward the end here. They're 2 games back from that. And, like I said, that fourth game, I mean, that one game you skip, it's one less game you have to play. So less games you play, the better you'll be. It's just going to be tough looking to do that kind of thing. What you think of Jalen?
Yeah, it is going to be tough, but I think, and we've been talking about this all year in every sport. Momentum is your biggest friend, and the fact that they're on this win streak right now, and they literally just blew South Alabama out of the gate. They went to Mobile and just went crazy on South Alabama. But I love to see that because not only they're building momentum to the next game against Texas State, but they're building that momentum until the Sun Belt Conference tournament. And yet they possibly will not get a top four seed, but it's possible they make a run at 8 and they're able to hit some shots and play great basketball they've been playing like the last couple games. Anything is possible for this women's team, even if they had an up and down year.
So, look, predicted standings got the Cajuns finishing tied with fifth and Georgia State in Southern Miss. That's what the predictor has it going on here. So they got they have to make wins happen for them to get up there. RPI, they're way too high for them to get out of large bid. They're at 138. So it's not looking too good there. Net ratings and RPI 1-4 in quadrant one, 0-1 in quadrant two. So look, Sunbelt's not that great of a conference in women's basketball. So but Marshall's definitely carrying the heat this year because look, we'll see what happens here. Hopefully they can get it going here. I'm trying to see if they have any wins against like that we can use here. So yeah, the win against South Alabama. Oh, I don't know why I was just thinking that here. Yeah, okay, I see it now. I think finally updated. So 74-42, yeah, dominated. So good job for the Cajuns in that one there. So they shot very good from the field 52%. South Bend only shot 26%. So yeah, that sums up the game right there. Attempts 57-52. Cajuns did very good beyond the arc and 3-pointers, 57%. So look, if they can keep this up here and keep it going, they should have a good run to the season. But if they can win out, that'd be really good. So we'll see what happens there. But hopefully they can just get it all taken care of here. So we're going to switch gears and start talking about LSU baseball here. So I didn't want to spend too much time and, we take care of the Cajuns. Let's go talk about LSU real quick. So LSU 4-0 to start the year, 4 consecutive wins. They're going to play against Northern Illinois tomorrow, then Stony Brook, then you got Northern Illinois. And then you have, let's see, I just had it. My mouse moved on me. Stony Brook again. So I think the Tigers win. They all have the same record. They're 1-3. So far with these teams here, they all have losing record. Their best win so far this year in RPI is Virginia Military Institute. So look, we're gonna find out what this LSU team is really more made of when they get like tougher competition. You're gonna have Rice, so and then after that you got Texas, the Cajuns, and then Texas State. So that will be March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So that will be an interesting one to watch, and that'll be at Minute Maid Park. So I think I think the Tigers win these next 4 games here and set themselves up really well here. They're not. These are good tune-up games to get ready for that stretch right there because you're going to find out what this team is really made of in that regard here. So I know a lot of people think that this team is more deeper than they were last year, which there's a lot of evidence to support that they are deeper out there. Their pitching staff has improved. They have a number 2 guy this year for sure, like really locked in. Like last year, that was kind of the question mark heading into the season. Who's going to back up Paul Skeens? But yeah, they should have. They still got the bats for sure. It's just we're going to find out a lot more about this team as we get further along in the season. As we enter March, I'm thinking March is when you're going to really find out more about this LSU baseball team as we go further along there. So, Jalen, what you think about LSU's start to the season?
I think the Champs are off to a great start. I think adding Stephen Milan to the roster, I think he's playing great. I mean, just coming in to LSU, it's like he's looking like one of their best players, one of their best hitters. He's still learning things, but at the same time, I mean, the Tigers, like you said, pitching has been fantastic. The Tigers are playing against teams so far that don't have that many wins combined between them. I mean, they beat VMI. That was 27-5. I mean, that was domination from start to finish, 10-run rule. I mean, anything you want to say about that team in that game, they played flawless. And I think if you, I mean, of course, they're going to play better teams along the season, especially with the SEC play. But at the same time, it's like they're off to a great start. I think they need to keep it up. Um, I don't see them even having any competition until they get to that Astros Foundation Classic, and that's not until March when they go against Texas. I think the schedule so far is smooth sailing for the Tigers.
So as of February 19th, LSU as a team is hitting 380. Their opponents are hitting 216. So the Tigers are getting on base and they're making plays here. Hayden Travinski played very well this weekend. Jake Brown did too. 600 batting average for him. Tommy White's at 400. You know, like the top four guys in that order played very well. Then they got some guys on the bench that came in and pinch hit and did a very good job there too. But I mean, we're going to see more and more about this team here. Jared Jones had 3 home runs this weekend, basically. So, and Brady Neal as well got him one. Hey, Travinsky got him one. So we're going to see what's going to happen here. So if you're looking at pitching here, which has been kind of the more of the focus here for the Tigers here, Tate Anderson has a 2.25 ERA. Excuse me. And then you have Gavin Guidry at 4.5 ERA. So we haven't seen Luke Holman yet, really too much. Or he did make an appearance. I mean, my bad. He did make an appearance, and we did see him pitch. He started the game, had one appearance, had 5.1 in the pitch. He had 10 strikeouts, so he is leading the Tigers so far this year as far as pitching goes here. So we're gonna see what happens here. This is gonna be one of those that how well will this pitching staff hold up for LSU is kind of the question. I think a lot of us want to know, and a lot of us are kind of interested in finding out. So let's see what happens here as we go further along here. I got LSU looking pretty good this year and being able to probably win their next 4 games. Let's talk about some LSU softball now. So keeping track with them, I wanted to play one of those games in there. It was Washington. The Washington game got canceled because Washington made it to the Women's College World Series. LSU softball is undefeated. They had a very great start to their year. They look better. To me, LSU looks better than they were last year. They look more confident. They were kind of a little bit younger last year. This year, they're 8-0 so far this year. Got 11 RPI going. I mean, but RPI is kind of in a weird spot right now. They had a close game against Northwestern. They beat number 8 Oklahoma State 7-6. Uh, that was their biggest win so far this year. Washington and Minnesota, both those games got canceled. So we didn't really get a chance to see the full serving of we won it in Clearwater. But that Washington game was one I really wanted to see. Now they got to take on Boyd State, then Houston, then Austin Peay. So Jalen, I think LSU's gonna they might drop one of these games here because I'm just thinking like just being undefeated and just being really deep in here. But they being over analytical here. Obviously, best case scenario, they win all 5 of these games here. But I'm just gonna go 4-1. I think they might drop one to Houston. What do you think, Jalen?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think they'll beat Boise State in both those games. And when it comes to Houston, I think they'll split. Even though I think LSU is probably superior, better team, but it's just you can't win them all. They won't go undefeated throughout the year. Sad to say, but I think especially playing in it's not the same day, but Friday, Saturday games. I mean, and then they have to turn around that same day Saturday and go against Austin P. I think they will lose that first one against Houston, but like you said, go 4-1. But the crazy thing about it is when you look at the Tigers' wins, and I'm gonna start from the very top. When you look at their first game against Nichols, 8 runs, 19, 5, 7, 8, 12, 13, 7. I know Washington and the Minnesota games were canceled, but the Tigers haven't scored less than 5 runs in any of their 8 wins this year. I mean, that tells you the firepower that they have right there hitting those bats. I mean, you can't hit any better than that.
Yeah, I mean, they're ranked in the top 10 for a reason. Your opponents so far this year only hitting 22.226 against them, and that's a team they're batting 366 on the year. So, look, as far as it looks here, Taylor Pleasant's hitting 421 so far this year. Sierra Briggs, 360. Allie Newland, 294, makes you better on at 300. And Danica Coffee hitting 286. So look, they're doing a very good job this year, and they're definitely getting on base, and they're giving their opportunity there. As far pitching is so far they don't have a pitcher below 3 of an ERA, which is a little bit of a concern, but we'll see what happens once we get deeper into the season here. They did play some tough competition though in Clearwater, so did that inflate some stats? Yes, it did. But you just still gotta like tough it out and do what you gotta do there. But we'll see here as we look in here. They're 8-2 in their last 10, so 8 game winning streak so far, 11 RPI. I think, like I said, I think they'll go 4-1, and that's what I'm thinking for softball for this upcoming week. So let's get down to basketball. Basketball had a huge win. Jalen, take it away.
Oh yeah, Chief. I was sitting there watching the game, LSU men's basketball team against Kentucky, and I was like, oh, one of Kentucky's star players, Dillingham, hit that shot. I was like, oh my God, here you go. Kentucky about to try to steal one in Baton Rouge. But guess what? A missed shot. Tyrell Ward gets the rebound, throws up just a prayer. He makes it game winner. The Tigers get the upset in Baton Rouge against 17th ranked
Which was
Kentucky.
a huge win for them. They had to win this game to really put themselves in. We were talking before the show, and you made the comment I feel like every game is a must win for LSU to get in the
Yep.
tournament. Yeah, and I think you're right there with that win over Kentucky, a 48 RPI they have now. Mississippi State's 27. You can inflate your RPI very well if you got that one. They did beat South Carolina. They lost to Florida. So look, now losing those games against Florida and Alabama and Tennessee kind of add up to you because your RPI is at 100, so you got to drop this down by at least 40. So you got to get in a deep. They need to get a for LSU to make this tournament here in men's basketball. They got to get a deep run, which they can if they can beat Mississippi State. They probably beat Georgia. Probably. It's gonna be close though. I think Georgia will be a tough one for them to win. And Vanderbilt 237, Missouri's at 205 RPI. I think they can beat Vanderbilt and Missouri. They might be able to beat Arkansas. And Georgia and Mississippi State are the two that are scary to me the most. Um, I don't think they'll beat Mississippi State, though. I just feel like there's usually a big drop off whenever you have a big anticipated win against Kentucky and stuff, like having those. But they got back to back top 25 wins. So they might be peaking at the right time. This might be a hot streak we might be watching here. So we'll see what happens with them. And if they could position themselves in the SEC tournament and make a deep run, I think LSU is going to do a very good job. What do you think, Jalen?
Oh yeah, most definitely. And like I said, we've been talking even before the show and saying like every game is a must win. I mean, not many teams go into South Carolina can beat them and then turn right back around, come at home the following week and then beat a Kentucky team who is a younger team, but they have a great lot of great ball players on their team, and they have one of the greatest coaches in probably college basketball history in John Calipari. So now they just have to go in the next game against Mississippi State, which Mississippi State is full of veterans. Then you have Georgia, like you said, Vandy, Arkansas, Missouri. They need to pull out some wins. I feel like they maybe take a loss or two in that mix, but they need to keep the momentum going with the SEC tournament coming up pretty soon, and they need to make some noise in the tournament to be able to make it to the big dance.
Yeah, it's all mathematics at this point here. Like a deep run, like they'll get in the tournament here. So now let's go switch LSU wins basketball here. Auburn, Tennessee, Georgia, and Kentucky. Here you got two games on the road here. That Tennessee one's really the big hot number one. So we'll see what happens here. Auburn, it's a revenge game. I think Tigers get revenge against them. Tennessee, I think they'll win these next four games. What you thinking, Jalen?
I think they'll win these games also. The Auburn game is a rematch they have at home. I think they're gonna beat them. Tennessee, I think is the last big remaining game of the year. They're gonna beat Tennessee and Georgia and Kentucky. They should be too easy of a games, but LSU is too talented of a team. They're too stacked of a team, and Kim Monk is too great of a coach for LSU to lose any of these games that's left playing. And they should be them in South
She's up
Carolina
for
in the
coach of the year
championship.
too. She's up for coach of the year. So I mean that's that. I mean
Oh, definitely.
yeah. So we'll see what happens with these last four games here. I think LSU beats Auburn. I think they get revenge. I think they'll win their next four. I think they're definitely on a four-game winning streak. They've had some the highest rated RPI team they played in that session was Texas A&M at 66, Florida's at 65. So I'm thinking that mathematically they're going to be in a very good spot for the NCAA tournament. Obviously, they're at 22 RPI right now, 22 and 4. I don't think it really matters what happens in the NCAA tournament. I think they're in. So we'll see what happens there as we go along here. I know the Angel Reese kind of, on the bench kind of thing, kind of is raising some eyebrows and stuff. But we'll see what happens here as we go along this college women's basketball season. So thank y'all for tuning in to the Fishbowl Radio. We hope you have a great and wonderful night. We'll see y'all here next time on the Fishbowl Radio. Have a good night, everybody. Peace out.